Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be seeing a video on Fu Panda 2, and I would like to give thanks to Michael O'Neill for requesting this video. Enjoy, everyone.
I appreciate the movie era-specific DreamWorks logo, but Oogway is dead. Does this mean the normal DreamWorks fishing kid on the moon is also dead and a ghost?
Firstly, no, and the beginning of Shark Tale can prove that. Secondly, sinning something you like. Thirdly, like Captain Vader showed, your sin timer was cropped out a bit, and at 6 seconds it returned to normal and reset itself to 0 seconds.
Long ago.
Narration.
And like with the narration from the first film, it's needed to let us know about a certain character and who they are.
So, huge important expositional backstory told quickly via narration and flashbacks cliche.
See the previous sin.
Would be defeated by a warrior of black and white.
I'm guessing in Kung Fu Panda 3, Po will fulfill some other prophecy, making him the Dexter of fulfilling Chinese prophecies.
Yes, because in that movie, Oogway says that Kai can only be stopped by a true Master Chi, and that's what Po ends up doing.
Horrific panda genocide is firmly implied, but completely glossed over.
See this sin from my Brave video.
According to this story, a crazy son who mastered the dark arts of gunpowder and killed all the pandas will simply turn around and leave when his happy fireworks joy parents banish him.
Firstly, not all the pandas were killed, since Po, Li Shan, and some of the other pandas survived, as shown at the end with them and Li. Secondly, if you played the scene before what you'd showed, it'd give you context on why Shen just leaves after being banished.
But Shen swore revenge. Someday he would return, and all of China would bow at his feet.
And then the Dragon Warrior joined the Furious Five! And then
If Po joined the Furious Five, what does that make them now? The Ridiculous Six?
No, they're still the Furious Five, and Po hangs out and does battles with them.
the most awesomest...
These movies are obsessed with the word awesome, plus 10 sins for never cracking open a thesaurus.
Well, it's a word Po likes using, and it fits with how these movies are, with the exception of the fourth one, which to me is good, but not awesome.
No one else is as impressed as I am with Po's ability to speak with large quantities of food in his mouth.
Sinning something you like.
Your piece also give you the ability to alter the properties of space and time? If not, then what kung fu power is allowing him to apparate from one location to another?
To answer the first question as an answer, yes.
Bandits, approaching the musicians' village.
A whole village of musicians? Those bandits aren't going to steal much more than empty pizza boxes and some rolling papers.
Well, when the wolves arrive, they find a lot of metal there, so...
Crane's ability to fly, even when he is carrying an inconceivable amount of weight, is so fucking impressive I have trouble believing it.
Well, it's not surprising since in the first film he carried Tigress, Monkey, Viper, and Mantis back to Po and Shifu after Tai Lung paralyzed them.
And all the metal you can find!
Who is he talking to? He's definitely not within earshot of any of his hyena bandit friends, and did they not already know what the plan was before conducting this mission?
He is talking to his wolf, not hyena bandit friends, and from that previous shot it looked like they were close enough to hear him.
They're doing a lot of standing around for a group of dogs that just need some metal to finish their fleet of cannons.
Similar to what I pointed out in the previous scene, these animals aren't dogs or hyenas, Jeremy, they're wolves.
One image opens up a cavalcade of buried traumatic memories cliché.
Not sure I'd call this a movie cliche, since things we see in real life can trigger a traumatic memory from our past.
Also, Poe's flashback is still inexplicably two-dimensional.
Yeah, because this is happening in Poe's mind, and like with his dream in the first movie, these movies show this style for things in his mind.
These flashbacks are not two-dimensional, so this problem is clearly isolated to Poe.
Well, I can see that since Mr. Pig knows that this happened, and Poe's vision isn't entirely confirmed by him yet, so the visual style makes sense.
Also, adoption backstory no one cares about.
I'm sure people do care, since they were probably curious as to how Mr. Ping is Poe's dad after they saw the first movie back when it came out.
Poe is the only mammal who was raised without the need for milk. No wonder he's the Dragon Warrior.
Well, despite us not knowing how old Poe is when he's adopted, it's possible that he was at the age to eat bamboo, or older, like this says.
One dumpling, please. Dragon Warrior size.
That's the joke.
Did Lord Shen just use the Force? Gently waving your wing in someone's general direction doesn't seem very kung fu-y to me. Maybe the guards are those easily startled narcoleptic goats.
Well, it wasn't a gentle wave, it was the start of him waving his wing to attack them, and it wasn't kung fu-y because he doesn't have skills.
Did this rhino carve those patterns onto his horn? Or is that just how they're built in this world? I want to believe he carved it himself, because that is hardcore.
Yeah, he probably did carve it, but even so, how's that something wrong with this movie?
For a flightless bird, Shen is frightfully flightful. An additional sin for making me accidentally make up a word and coming up with a tongue twister.
Well, peacocks can actually fly, even though they rarely do it, and only fly short distances, and you even said that yourself in the Madagascar video.
Son of legendary flying rhino?
Did anyone else just imagine a rhino with wings flying through the air, dipping in and out of the clouds, having the time of his life? Because I sure did.
Jeremy sins himself, cliche.
I mean, how can Kung Fu stop something that stops Kung Fu?
Movie unintentionally tries to break your brain.
Well, Shifu does answer Poe's question by saying that anything is possible when you have inner peace.
Poe ball.
Yeah? So?
The animators in this film got too artsy again.
Well, just because you don't like this shot doesn't mean that others feel the same way about it, so I'll be giving out my award here.
Where did this boat come from? This is the first time they're actually using some mode of transportation instead of just leaping incredible distances. They probably had the boat all along, and Monkey remembered that they had the boat and said, "Remember how we're always just jumping everywhere? Why don't we use that boat that we have on the outskirts of town?" And everyone else was like, oh yeah, the boat. We don't see this because Jackie Chan isn't allowed to talk in this movie either.
Firstly, there are moments where Monkey talks in this film, and that invalidates you saying that Jackie Chan doesn't have any lines here. Secondly, since this boat goes a long distance on water to Gangwon City, the water likely would have made it hard for them to get to the city on foot.
How did he only wake up Tigress? The rest of the 5 are pretty heavy sleepers.
Because she was woken up when Poe got up, like Captain Vader said.
I'm amazed that Mantis has made it this long without getting squashed. If I felt something walk all over me like that, I would involuntarily swat at it, even if it was one of my friends.
Firstly, I don't think Poe would do that. Secondly, Mantis was crawling on Poe and giving him acupuncture in the first film, and Poe didn't feel like swatting at him, so it's not surprising here.
30 years I've waited for this moment.
According to the internet, peacocks only live for about 15 years, but if he's partially made of metal, I'm willing— hey, this movie is making me learn again! Damn you, Kung Fu Panda 2!
Well, aside from the fact that peacocks can actually live for up to 25 years, Shen is a fictional peacock, so that shouldn't matter here.
You're just saying what's happening right now.
No.
He's not talking to me, is he?
No.
Obvious Pac-Man reference is obvious and not enough to save this movie.
What you said implies you don't like this movie, but like with Toy Story 3 and The Princess and the Frog, your description suggests that you do.
They are surrounded by wolves, yet they are still able to get out from under the costume and into the barrels without anyone seeing them. Maybe they've all mastered that apparating skill that Shifu showed off earlier in this movie.
Well, as this is animated, it needs at least some suspension of disbelief, like I've said before.
Also, there was a conveniently sized bucket for Mantis.
Not capitalizing the M in Mantis here.
Look, Gungman Jail.
And they conveniently happened upon the jail they were looking for.
Yeah, and?
I'll give you a signal.
Gaga, gigi.
You mean like Crane does?
Yeah.
Excuse me, when have I ever made that noise?
I'm not playing Jeremy Sin here because I'd just like to point out that he ignores that this contradicts him saying Jackie Chan has no lines.
Monkey. Caca.
Monkey continuing to be pointless. He is like the Ringo Starr of the Furious 5.
Just like the previous Sin, this also contradicts your earlier claim that Jackie Chan doesn't have any lines in this film, when he actually does.
They set up a memorial for the guy that they very intentionally killed? I mean, that's nice, but kind of odd to seem mournful for someone they murdered.
Yes, but not to mourn Master Rhino. It's a way to show others how dangerous Shen is, since his cannon is what killed Master Rhino.
The cannon that was so heavy the 2 giant gorillas didn't want to move it 2 inches to the left flies up into the air with little effort after Tigress jumps on the front of it. And then Mantis, who is light as a sheet of paper, is able to kick it through the floor with vigor.
Well, it's not surprising with Mantis, since he was able to hold up the bridge by himself during the fight with Tai Lung in the first movie. And it's also not surprising with Tigress, since she's been learning Kung Fu for years.
Since peacocks are mostly flightless birds, I can only assume that he isn't actually flying, he's falling with style.
Actually, he is flying since, like I said before, peacocks can fly, but only short distances.
How many frickin' stories is this pagoda?
A lot, especially since Poe couldn't make it all the way up by himself.
That makes no sense.
Why is Mantis suddenly so much bigger? Is this some sort of perspective thing that wasn't animated well? Or did Mantis accidentally drink some Drink Me liquid from Alice in Wonderland?
Firstly, the Drink Me liquid made Alice shrink, and the Eat Me cookie was what made her grow. Secondly, you put a period instead of a question mark after Wonderland here.
I can't feel my face.
But I love it.
Okay, I laughed when I first heard that, so I'll remove a sin here.
Sudden cannon hits Poe, and I'm instantly reminded of Homer Simpson's stint with the traveling concert and the cannon gag, and I'm instantly no longer worried about Poe.
Well, if not for the soothsayer, he'd have died here, especially since she says that she'd have left him in the river if she wanted him dead.
Did Poe just go from experiencing his memories in first person to third person?
Yes.
First of all, Poe's panda doll survives the fire. Second of all, would a panda really have a stuffed animal of a panda? If I grew up with a stuffed doll of a white dude, I'd probably have trouble sleeping at night.
Oh, you mean like these stuffed dolls?
Poe finally remembers long-buried memories because the plot needs him to.
It's not that the plot needs him to, it's to help him find inner peace.
Poe's version of inner peace is remembering how his parents died. That's f***ed up.
Well, like Captain Vader said, Poe's mom dies, but his dad doesn't.
I guess inner peace is what allows your flashbacks to look like reality instead of 2-dimensional drawings.
Yeah.
Mom Panda puts Poe on a vegetable cart so he can be saved even if she cannot, and hello, I sense some serious Moses overtones here.
Well, homaging the story of Moses isn't something wrong with the movie, so...
The movie uses over a full minute of the previous movie's footage in an emotional montage. Party foul.
Singing this emotional montage for any reason, that's worth these many sins.
Master Shifu Ex Machina.
Well, we've known Shifu since the first movie, so this doesn't count as a Deus Ex Machina.
Inner peace.
How convenient that this is the lesson he just learned.
Well, yeah, since it's his way to show everyone that he's found inner peace.
Scars heal.
No, they don't. Wounds heal.
Okay, if the characters in the movie can hear me, please stop sinning each other. I'm going to run out of things to say.
So, shouldn't the sin be Shen would be great at CinemaSins?
What do you mean he's not here?
I remember this woman. I used to have interactions with her when I worked retail. She hasn't changed a bit. Looks and sounds just the same.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
My son is alive.
How did he find that out sitting in the hut? Maybe he was looking at his iPad and got a CNN news alert. Dragon Warrior defeats evil Lord Shen, storming Ox announces on Twitter.
Well, that was a question for the third film to answer, and Oogway did just that, so I think you should have held off on this sin, my dude. And here's the end result, everybody. The sin total is 145, and the sentence will be inner peace. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.